When dealing with difficult people, one of the most effective strategies is to understand their perspective. This approach is rooted in empathy, which allows you to see beyond the surface behavior and into the underlying reasons for their actions. Often, when someone is acting out or being challenging, it's because they are experiencing some sort of internal conflict or distress. Understanding their perspective involves taking a step back and recognizing that their actions are not necessarily a personal attack, but may stem from their own struggles or insecurities. People who are difficult to deal with often feel misunderstood, unheard, or unappreciated. They may be dealing with pressures that are not immediately visible, such as stress at work, personal issues, or feelings of inadequacy. By considering these factors, you begin to realize that their behavior might be a defense mechanism, a way of coping with challenges they are unable to express or manage in a healthy way. In some cases, difficult people are simply acting out of frustration, feeling as though they are not in control of their circumstances. When you approach them with an open mind and a desire to understand their situation, it opens up the possibility for more effective communication and conflict resolution. One important aspect of understanding someone's perspective is to recognize that their experience is valid, even if it seems unreasonable to you. It's easy to dismiss someone's emotions or reactions if they appear exaggerated or misplaced, but it's important to remember that people's feelings are shaped by their unique life experiences. What may seem like a small issue to you might be an overwhelming challenge to them. For example, someone who is constantly late for meetings might be struggling with time management or personal issues that make it difficult for them to meet deadlines. Instead of getting frustrated with their behavior, consider the reasons behind it. This can help you to respond with more patience and compassion. When you actively try to understand another person's perspective, it also helps you develop a sense of patience and tolerance. Instead of reacting impulsively to their behavior, you can pause and reflect on why they might be acting the way they are. This reflective approach can prevent misunderstandings and reduce the likelihood of escalating conflicts. It also allows you to avoid the trap of making snap judgments based on surface-level interactions. The more you seek to understand, the more likely you are to find common ground, or at least a way to navigate the situation without further conflict. Understanding someone's perspective can help you tailor your approach to them. Different people respond to different forms of communication, and by understanding where they are coming from, you can choose the best way to engage with them. For instance, if someone is frustrated and irritable, they may need space and time to cool down before a productive conversation can happen. On the other hand, if they feel neglected or ignored, they may respond better to direct attention and acknowledgement. By adapting your communication style to their needs, you improve the chances of resolving the issue rather than making it worse. Empathy also allows you to move beyond seeing the person as simply difficult. It encourages you to see them as a whole person, with a history, emotions, and challenges that contribute to their behavior. This perspective shift can have a profound impact on how you approach difficult people. Instead of seeing them as a problem to be solved or avoided, you begin to view them as someone who deserves understanding and respect, regardless of their current behavior. In some cases, understanding their perspective can even lead to greater personal growth. By recognizing that everyone has their own struggles, you become more open-minded and less judgmental. You learn to appreciate the complexity of human behavior and the different ways people cope with their circumstances. This approach not only helps in managing difficult people, but also enriches your relationships and interactions in all areas of life. Understanding the perspective of difficult people is not about excusing their behavior, but rather about approaching the situation with compassion and a willingness to listen. When you take the time to understand where they're coming from, it opens the door to better communication, stronger relationships, and a more peaceful resolution of conflicts. Setting clear boundaries is one of the most essential strategies when dealing with difficult people. Boundaries act as a framework that helps protect your emotional well-being, ensures respectful interactions, and provides clarity in relationships. Without boundaries, it's easy to become overwhelmed or feel disrespected, especially when dealing with people who test your limits. By establishing and maintaining firm boundaries, you not only protect yourself from being drained by others, but also foster a sense of respect that helps both parties engage in healthier interactions. The first step in setting clear boundaries is identifying what you are and are not willing to tolerate. This requires an honest assessment of your needs, values, and limits. Ask yourself what behaviors make you feel uncomfortable or disrespected. Are there certain words, actions, or attitudes that trigger negative emotions or stress? Understanding what makes you feel upset or violated is crucial, because it allows you to establish specific boundaries based on your personal comfort level. For example, if someone consistently interrupts you during conversations, you can set a boundary by letting them know that you need to finish speaking before they respond. Once you have identified your boundaries, it's important to communicate them clearly and assertively. Setting boundaries does not mean being rude or aggressive, rather it's about expressing your needs calmly and respectfully. For instance, if a colleague regularly dumps their workload on you without consideration, you might say, "I'm happy to help when I can, but I need to prioritize my own tasks. I can assist you tomorrow, but not today. By expressing your boundaries clearly, you provide the other person with the opportunity to respect them. The key is to be firm but polite so the message is understood without creating unnecessary conflict. Another crucial aspect of setting boundaries is being consistent. Once you have communicated your limits, it's essential to stick to them. If you let someone repeatedly cross your boundaries without addressing it, they will likely continue testing your limits. This inconsistency can lead to confusion and frustration on both sides. For example, if you've told a friend that you need time alone after work to unwind, but you consistently allow them to call or visit during that time, they will likely continue to invade that space. Being consistent sends a clear message that your boundaries are non-negotiable, and it teaches others how to treat you respectfully. While it's important to be firm, it's equally crucial to remain flexible when necessary. Life is not always black and white, and sometimes circumstances may require you to adjust your boundaries. For instance, if you're always available to help a colleague, but one day you're overwhelmed with your own workload, it's okay to let them know that you need to reschedule the help. Boundaries should be adaptable, but you should never allow them to be crossed repeatedly or to the point of being compromised for the sake of others. It's about finding a balance between maintaining your boundaries and being understanding of others' needs when appropriate. Setting boundaries also involves recognizing and addressing any guilt or fear you may feel. Many people struggle with setting boundaries because they fear confrontation or feel guilty about saying no. However, it's important to remember that setting boundaries is not selfish, it's an essential act of self-care. You have the right to protect your emotional, mental, and physical well-being. Boundaries are not about rejecting or isolating others, but about ensuring that your own needs are met. If you constantly prioritize others at the expense of your own health or happiness, you may eventually experience burnout, resentment, or frustration. Recognizing that your needs are just as valid as anyone else's helps diminish feelings of guilt and empowers you to maintain your boundaries with confidence. Another key element in setting clear boundaries is learning to say no. This may seem difficult for some people, especially those who are people pleasers or fear disappointing others. However, saying no is a necessary part of maintaining your boundaries. Saying no doesn't have to be rude or harsh, it can be done with respect and tact. For instance, if someone asks for your help, but you're already committed to other responsibilities, you can simply say, "I'm sorry, I'm unable to help the moment." Perhaps you can find assistance elsewhere. By practicing saying no, you reinforce your boundaries and avoid overcommitting yourself. Remember that setting boundaries is a continuous process. As relationships evolve, so too might your boundaries. It's important to regularly assess whether your boundaries are still serving your well-being and make adjustments as necessary. Effective communication and self-awareness are key to maintaining healthy boundaries, and it's essential to stay true to your values while respecting others. In summary, setting clear boundaries is a powerful way to take control of your interactions and protect your emotional and mental health. It allows you to communicate your needs assertively and respectfully, avoid unnecessary stress, and cultivate stronger, more respectful relationships. While it may be challenging at first, the benefits of setting and maintaining boundaries far outweigh the discomfort of asserting them. By doing so, you create an environment where both you and the other person can interact in a manner that promotes mutual respect and understanding. Staying calm and controlled, especially in the face of difficult people or stressful situations, is one of the most effective ways to manage conflict and avoid escalation. It's natural to feel upset or frustrated when dealing with people who challenge your patience, but maintaining composure can make a significant difference in the outcome of the situation. When you stay calm, you are better equipped to think clearly, communicate effectively, and respond in ways that are constructive rather than reactive. The first step in staying calm is understanding the importance of emotional regulation. Emotions are natural and often instantaneous reactions to situations, but it's crucial to recognize that you have control over how you respond to them. Instead of allowing anger, frustration, or anxiety to dictate your behavior, you can choose to take a step back, breathe, and allow yourself a moment to process your feelings before reacting. This moment of pause is essential because it gives you the opportunity to regain control of your emotional state and prevent yourself from reacting impulsively. In moments of tension, taking a few deep breaths can be an effective technique for grounding yourself and calming your nervous system. Even just a few seconds of intentional breathing can help lower your heart rate and shift your mindset. A key aspect of staying calm is recognizing that your emotions do not define the situation. Often we can get caught up in the heat of the moment and feel that the conflict is personal. But it's important to remind yourself that the behavior of others is more about them than it is about you. Difficult people may be dealing with their own issues, such as stress, insecurity, or frustration, which can lead them to act in ways that are challenging. Instead of internalizing their actions, try to view the situation objectively. This perspective shift allows you to detach emotionally and respond in a way that is more thoughtful and less reactive. When you understand that the other person's behavior is likely driven by their own struggles rather than a personal attack, it becomes easier to stay calm and not take things personally. Another strategy for staying calm is to focus on what you can control. In any given situation, you may not be able to change the behavior of the other person, but you can always control your own reactions. This realization empowers you to take charge of the situation by choosing how to respond. Rather than allowing the other person's difficult behavior to dictate your emotions, focus on how you can manage your own behavior in a way that keeps the situation under control. For example, if someone is being confrontational, you might respond with a calm tone of voice and a clear, assertive message rather than raising your voice or becoming defensive. The way you carry yourself can help de-escalate the situation and prevent it from becoming more volatile. Staying calm also involves managing your body language. Your body can send strong signals that reflect your emotions, whether you intend them to or not. Tense posture, clenched fists, or crossed arms can give the impression that you are defensive or angry, even if you are trying to stay calm. To maintain control, be conscious of your body language and try to adopt open, relaxed gestures. A calm and steady demeanor can have a calming effect on the other person as well, signaling that you are not easily provoked and are approaching the situation with composure. A warm, neutral expression can also help diffuse tension as it conveys that you are not confrontational or hostile. Another important component of staying calm is cultivating patience. Difficult people often try to provoke a reaction, and it can be tempting to respond in kind. However, when you cultivate patience, you can give the other person the space they need to express themselves without feeling the need to interrupt or defend yourself immediately. Instead of rushing to provide an answer or explanation, take your time to listen actively and process what they're saying. This not only helps you stay calm, but also shows the other person that you are willing to listen, which can help create a more constructive dialogue. When you practice patience, you also give yourself the time to formulate a response that is measured and thoughtful, rather than one that is driven by frustration or anger. Staying calm requires a level of self-awareness. By recognizing your triggers, the specific behaviors or words that tend to set you off, you can prepare yourself in advance to respond calmly. For example, if you know that certain phrases or attitudes from a difficult person tend to irritate you, you can anticipate these reactions and practice strategies for remaining composed. This self-awareness allows you to prevent knee-jerk reactions and respond more thoughtfully. Lastly, it's important to acknowledge that staying calm doesn't mean suppressing your emotions. It's natural to feel upset or angry in difficult situations, and it's okay to feel those emotions. However, the goal is to manage them in a way that doesn't lead to unproductive or harmful behavior. It's about finding the balance between acknowledging your emotions and choosing how to express them in a way that is respectful and constructive. In some cases, it may even be helpful to take a break or step away from the situation if you feel your emotions are becoming too overwhelming. This allows you to regain your composure and return to the conversation when you are ready to engage in a calm and controlled manner. In summary, staying calm and controlled when dealing with difficult people is an essential skill for maintaining your emotional well-being and fostering productive interactions. By focusing on emotional regulation, controlling your responses, and practicing patience, you can manage even the most challenging situations with grace and composure. The ability to remain calm not only helps you navigate conflict more effectively, but also sets the tone for others to engage in a more respectful and solution-oriented manner. Effective communication is a cornerstone of resolving conflicts and building strong, healthy relationships, especially when dealing with difficult people. It involves more than just speaking clearly. It's about listening actively, expressing your thoughts and feelings in a way that encourages understanding, and ensuring that both parties feel heard and respected. When you communicate effectively, you can avoid misunderstandings, reduce tension, and increase the chances of finding mutually beneficial solutions. The first step in communicating effectively is active listening. Often, when interacting with difficult people, we're so focused on what we want to say next that we fail to truly listen to what the other person is saying. Active listening means giving the speaker your full attention, not just waiting for your turn to talk. It requires making eye contact, nodding to show you're engaged, and refraining from interrupting or formulating a response while they're still talking. When you listen actively, you convey that you value the other person's perspective, which can help reduce defensiveness and make them more open to hearing what you have to say. In addition to listening carefully, it's important to paraphrase or summarize what the other person has said. This shows that you understand their point of view and allows them to clarify any misunderstandings before the conversation progresses. For example, you might say, "So what I'm hearing is that you feel frustrated because you think your concerns haven't been addressed. Is that right?" Paraphrasing not only confirms your understanding, but also gives the other person an opportunity to correct any inaccuracies, which helps prevent miscommunication and promotes a more productive conversation. When it's your turn to speak, being clear and direct is essential. Many conflicts arise from vague or ambiguous communication, where each party assumes the other understands their needs, feelings, or expectations. Instead of saying something general like, "You're always so rude," it's more effective to use specific examples that convey your feelings. For instance, you could say, "When you interrupt me during meetings, I feel disrespected and unable to contribute fully." This approach avoids labeling the other person as rude and focuses on the specific behavior that is causing discomfort. By being direct and focusing on the issue at hand, you reduce the chances of the other person becoming defensive and make it easier for them to understand your perspective. In addition to being clear, it's important to express yourself assertively rather than aggressively or passively. Assertive communication is about expressing your thoughts, feelings, and needs openly and respectfully without dominating the conversation or yielding to others in a way that sacrifices your own needs. For example, instead of passively agreeing to something you don't want to do out of fear of conflict, you could assertively say, "I understand your request, but I'm not able to help with that at the moment because I have other priorities to attend to." This approach ensures that your needs are communicated while still respecting the other person's point of view. Tone of voice is also a crucial aspect of effective communication. The tone in which you speak can significantly affect how your message is received. A calm, neutral tone encourages a productive conversation, while a harsh or condescending tone can escalate tensions. When speaking with someone who is difficult, it's important to stay mindful of your tone and avoid raising your voice or sounding sarcastic, as this can put the other person on the defensive. By keeping your tone steady and respectful, you create an atmosphere where the other person is more likely to listen and engage constructively. Another important element of effective communication is nonverbal cues such as body language and facial expressions. People often pick up on subtle nonverbal signals even when words don't match the tone or message. For example, crossed arms or a tense posture can signal that you're closed off or defensive, even if you're trying to communicate calmly. Conversely, open body language, such as uncrossed arms, relaxed posture, and a slight smile, can help create a sense of openness and receptivity. Being aware of your own body language and the nonverbal cues of the other person can help you gauge the tone of the conversation and adjust accordingly. It's also essential to be mindful of timing when communicating. Timing can make a big difference in how your message is received. If someone is upset, trying to communicate a complex point immediately may not be effective. Giving the person time to calm down or choosing a time when both parties are more relaxed can create a more productive environment for discussion. Similarly, if you need to have a difficult conversation, it's important to choose the right time and setting to ensure that both you and the other person are in the right mindset to engage in a constructive dialogue. Being empathetic and respectful throughout the conversation is crucial to fostering effective communication. Even if you disagree with the other person or feel that they are being unreasonable, approaching the conversation with empathy allows content and understanding. Try to see things from their perspective, acknowledging their emotions and concerns and responding in a way that validates their feelings without necessarily agreeing with them. Empathy fosters a sense of trust and respect, which can create a more positive outcome even in difficult situations. In conclusion, effective communication is essential for handling difficult people and resolving conflicts. By actively listening, being clear and assertive, maintaining a respectful tone, and being mindful of nonverbal cues, you create a space for open, productive dialogue. It's about creating an environment where both parties feel heard and respected, which increases the likelihood of finding a solution that benefits everyone involved. Ultimately, effective communication helps transform challenging interactions into opportunities for understanding and growth. One of the most important principles in handling difficult people is learning to not take their behavior personally. This is especially challenging when emotions are running high and it feels like the other person's actions or words are directed at you. However, taking things personally can lead to unnecessary stress, defensiveness, and a breakdown in communication. By understanding that difficult people's behavior often stems from their own struggles and not your actions, you can navigate the situation with greater emotional resilience and maintain healthier relationships. At the core of not taking things personally is the understanding that people's actions are often a reflection of their own internal world, not a direct commentary on you. Many difficult individuals are dealing with their own frustrations, insecurities, or unmet needs, which can manifest in negative behavior. For example, someone who is frequently critical or dismissive may be projecting their own feelings of inadequacy or fear of being judged. Their behavior is a coping mechanism, a way of dealing with their internal struggles, rather than an attack on you. When you realize this, it becomes easier to separate their actions from your self-worth. Their behavior is about them, not about you. It's also essential to recognize that difficult people often act out of habit or a lack of emotional control. They may not have developed the tools to express themselves in a constructive way or to manage their emotions appropriately. This doesn't excuse their behavior, but it helps you understand that their actions are errations, are own limitations rather than a personal vendetta. For example, someone who frequently interrupts others in conversation might be doing so because they feel the need to assert themselves or because they haven't learned how to listen attentively. Understanding that their actions are not a direct response to you can help you maintain a sense of perspective and prevent you from internalizing their negativity. Another reason why it's important not to take things personally is that people's reactions are often influenced by factors outside of your control. A person's mood, stress level, or personal circumstances may be contributing to their behavior. If someone snaps at you or is rude, they might be having a bad day, struggling with work pressures, or dealing with personal issues. Their reaction may have nothing to do with you, but rather with the frustration or stress they are experiencing in their own life. By not taking it personally, you avoid being swept up in their emotional turmoil and can respond more calmly and rationally. Taking things personally can lead to unnecessary emotional reactivity, which often escalates conflicts. When you perceive someone's behavior as an attack on you, it's easy to become defensive, angry, or hurt. These emotions can cloud your judgment and make it harder to respond thoughtfully. Instead of engaging in a back and forth cycle of negative emotions, choosing not to take things personally allows you to remain calm and composed. It gives you the emotional space to respond rather than react. For instance, if someone criticizes your work, instead of in hurt or feeling can approach the feedback with a neutral mindset, recognizing that then is subjective and may not reflect your overall abilities. Taking things personally can also lead to unnecessary feelings of guilt or self-doubt. When someone criticizes or behaves negatively toward you, it's easy to question your actions or feel like you're somehow to blame. This can be especially true for people who are naturally empathetic or people-pleasing. However, it's important to remind yourself that other people's behavior is often influenced by their own issues, not by anything you've done wrong. Just because someone is upset or critical doesn't mean that you are at fault. By not taking their behavior personally, you maintain your sense of self-worth and avoid being consumed by unnecessary guilt or self-blame. It's also helpful to recognize that not everyone is going to like you or treat you the way you expect. No matter how hard you try, some people will still act out or respond negatively. This is a normal part of life, and it's not a reflection of your value as a person. People have different personalities, backgrounds, and experiences which can lead to misunderstandings or conflicts. By accepting that you cannot control how others behave, you free yourself from the burden of trying to please everyone or change their perceptions. This mindset allows you to interact with others with greater ease and authenticity, knowing that their reactions don't define you. Learning not to take things personally also opens the door to more effective communication. When you don't view someone's behavior as a personal attack, you're better able to engage with them in a calm and rational manner. This can lead to a more productive conversation, where you focus on the issue at hand rather than getting caught up in emotions. For example, if a colleague criticizes your presentation, instead of feeling attacked, you can ask for constructive feedback, which can help you improve in the future. By responding without taking things personally, you create a space for problem solving and positive change. In some cases, choosing not to take things personally may also involve setting healthy emotional boundaries. This means recognizing that while you cannot control how others behave, you do have control over how much emotional energy you invest in their actions. If someone consistently treats you poorly, you can choose not to absorb their negativity, protecting your emotional well-being. By detaching emotionally, you prevent yourself from becoming overwhelmed by their behavior and can engage with them in a way that protects your own peace of mind. In summary, not taking things personally is an essential skill for maintaining your emotional well-being when dealing with difficult people. By recognizing that their behavior is a reflection of their own issues and circumstances, you can avoid internalizing their actions and maintain your sense of self-worth. This approach allows you to respond to challenging situations with greater calm, clarity, and resilience. It also helps you protect yourself from unnecessary emotional reactivity and conflict, ultimately fostering healthier and more productive interactions. Knowing when to walk away is an essential skill for managing difficult interactions and preserving your emotional well-being. While many situations can be worked through with patience and communication, there are times when it's best to disengage and remove yourself from a conflict or toxic environment. Walking away doesn't mean giving up or avoiding the problems, about recognizing that staying in the situation may not be productive and that your energy is better spent elsewhere. This ability to step back can help you maintain your peace of mind and prevent unnecessary stress or harm. One of the key indicators that it's time to walk away is when the conversation or interaction has become too emotionally charged. When emotions escalate, whether your own or the other person's, our communication can break down. Instead of moving towards resolution, heightened emotions often lead to arguments, misunderstandings, and more negativity. In these situations, continuing the conversation may only cause further harm. Recognizing when emotions are running too high and taking a break can prevent things from spiraling out of control. Walking away temporarily gives both parties the chance to cool down, reflect, and approach the issue with a clearer, more level-headed mindset later on. Another important factor to consider is whether the conversation or situation is no longer productive. Sometimes, despite your best efforts, a difficult person is simply unwilling to listen, understand, or compromise. In such cases, continuing to engage in the same conversation may only lead to frustration and exhaustion. If it becomes clear that the other person is not open to dialogue, resolution, or change, it may be time to step away. Recognizing when further discussion is futile allows you to conserve your energy and avoid getting caught in a cycle of unproductive communication. This doesn't mean abandoning the issue completely, but rather knowing when to pause and revisit it at a more appropriate time or with a different approach. It's also important to know when the situation is beginning to affect your mental or physical health. If you find that a difficult person or toxic environment is consistently draining your energy, making you anxious, or causing you stress, it's a clear sign that walking away is necessary. Your well-being should always be a priority, and no situation or person is worth compromising your health. If being around certain individuals leaves you feeling emotionally exhausted or mentally overwhelmed, it's time to create space for yourself. Walking away may involve distancing yourself from the individual, limiting your interaction with them, or taking a break from the situation altogether. Protecting your mental and emotional health is crucial for maintaining your overall well-being and being able to engage in other aspects of your life in a healthy way. Knowing when to walk away also applies to situations where your boundaries are being consistently disrespected. Everyone has limits, and when those limits are crossed repeatedly, it's important to recognize that the situation is no longer tolerable. Boundaries are essential for maintaining respect and healthy interactions. And when someone repeatedly ignores or violates your boundaries, it's a sign that they do not respect you or your needs. Continuing to engage with someone who disregards your boundaries can lead to feelings of resentment, frustration, and a sense of being powerless. In these situations, walking away may be the best way to protect your dignity and send the message that your boundaries deserve to be respected. This can be especially important in relationships or situations where there is a power imbalance or ongoing manipulation. There are also times when walking away is the most effective way to regain control of the situation. Difficult people often try to provoke reactions in others, and when you engage in their behavior, you give them power over your emotional state. By walking away, you take back that control. You refuse to be dragged into a situation that is unhealthy or manipulative, and you choose to prioritize your own emotional peace. This doesn't mean surrendering or giving up on the issue. It means recognizing that your response is the one thing you have control over. Walking away empowers you to take charge of your emotions and choose a healthier path for yourself. Walking away can help to preserve the integrity of the relationship. Sometimes in highly charged situations, emotions run so high that it becomes difficult to maintain respect or understanding. By removing yourself from the conversation, you give both parties the space they need to cool off, reflect, and avoid saying things that could damage the relationship in the long term. Taking a step back allows time for reflection, which may lead to a more thoughtful and respectful resolution later on. This can be especially important in personal relationships where continued conflict can lead to lasting damage if not handled carefully. Knowing when to walk away also means being mindful of your values and goals. In some cases, walking away might be the most strategic decision, especially when staying in a difficult situation goes against your core values or long-term objectives. For example, if someone is attempting to manipulate you or pressure you into something that doesn't align with your personal ethics, walking away preserves your integrity. Similarly, in a work situation where the environment is toxic or undermining your professional goals, removing yourself from the situation allows you to seek out opportunities that align better with your values and aspirations. By walking away, you assert your commitment to living in accordance with your principles, and you free yourself from situations that would hold you back. Lastly, walking away doesn't always mean permanently severing ties with a person or situation. In many cases, it simply means stepping back temporarily to reassess and gain perspective. Sometimes a brief period of distance can allow both parties to regroup and return to the situation with a new outlook, better prepared to engage in a more productive way. This temporary break can also help you reevaluate the relationship or situation, allowing you to decide whether it's worth re-engaging or whether it's healthier to move on entirely. In conclusion, knowing when to walk away is a critical skill in dealing with difficult people and situations. It's about recognizing when continuing to engage is unproductive, unhealthy, or emotionally draining. Walking away doesn't mean avoiding conflict or giving up. It's about protecting your mental, emotional, and physical health and ensuring that you engage in situations that are conducive to growth and well-being. By learning when to step back, you preserve your energy, set boundaries, and create the space necessary for healthier, more constructive interactions.